There's the old Soviet poster, "He who does not work, neither does he eat," and as well the extensive campaigns against the lazy in the factories, even handing out prison sentences. To me, this seems to make sense, and anything else would be unexpected. The Soviets were supposed to be the ultimate collectivists. The individual would not have the right to demand things from the group without contribution. Now, many modern communists would protest this as not real communism or call me CIA because they would assert, among other groups, they would assert that food is a human right, which is, if you think about it, too concerned with the individual to coincide with the politics of Vladimir Lenin or Joseph Stalin, and so it didn't. Sometimes a communist will look back into the past and bemoan how we cared about each other until individualism and the Protestant worth ethics swooped in and made people more self-destined and more self-concerned, which is somewhat true. I will comment on the interesting thing about that in a moment, but I'm going to directly address it first. How can an able-bodied man have a duty and moral obligation to his group, community, and fellow humans, sometimes even no choice but to give his access to others, but at the same time not be responsible for his own weight if he produces nothing? And so, in the Soviet Union, which is supposed to be the uber collectivism, if one does not work, one does not eat. China even enforced the one-child policy, not the one-child suggestion. They handed it down with forced abortions and sterilization just to prevent useless mouths from consuming food and supposedly worsening the famine for the masses. Meanwhile, the beginning of capitalism and effect of the dreaded Protestant work ethic helped those who could not work for themselves at all, the infants who were otherwise dying in mass. What I found most interesting about this is Marxist-Leninist Maoist revolutions took root in often feudal, underdeveloped, agrarian nations who were already collectivists, who flocked to Marxism after their nation fell behind the liberal world. Becoming a developed individualist country in the First World appears to be a near-death sentence for any hope of the dictatorship of the proletariat. So you can see why the people who actually took over and implemented Marxism in all reality have a very different view of human rights from their Western counterparts' imaginations of Marxism, and why one has the conditions to take power unlike the other, because they live in an actually collectivist country which was underdeveloped and tumbled behind. Because they come from an individualist environment, Western leftists even try to sell maximum collectivism as a way to achieve maximum individual freedom at the same time, which is oxymoronic and relies on contorted positive freedom that come from the state granting you something, so thus the state must expand its control over all property to grant you this freedom. And even then, the regime will not respect these freedoms. Like and subscribe for more counter-revolutionary content.